Welcome to Misery Zone, and I don't know what I'm saying. Welcome to another episode. Fuck. Welcome to another edition of Misery Zone. And I'd like to say you're the greatest. And fuck. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Misery Zone. Oh shit. Stop. Welcome to Misery Zone. Today we're going to look at this greeting card, which I think represents a love story. One that was written in the backwaters of the internet in the early 2000s in the beautiful Germanic land of Rottenburg. Rottenburg, Germany. So here we see a little beautiful, fun little greeting card illustration saying, "You're the greatest. You're the greatest." And what does this mean? What is the artist trying to say? One, that this is a grater that grates cheese, and this is cheese looking to be grated. And what do you do with something that's grated? You put it on meat, you put it on bread, you might microwave it, but basically you're going to consume it. You're going to eat it. And so there is a event, like I said, well, not necessarily a love story, but passing ships in the night, at least, that did happen in Germany in 2001, I believe. And the name of the people involved were Armin Meiwes and Bernd Brandes. Armin Meiwes and Bernd Brandes. And what they were into, what they were passionate about, what they were otaku about, what they would go, if there were available conventions, what they would go to, and what they went to online were, online conventions, which were forums of about cannibalism. And Armin always dreamed of eating a person, and this other guy, Bernd Brandes, always dreamed of being eaten by somebody. So they met up online in one of these cannibal forums, and I like to think, when they met, Armin Meiwes had this greeting card, and hopefully they chuckled, because I think this is if any work of art symbolizes this event, I believe it's this work of art. You're the greatest. Because obviously this piece of cheese wants to be grated by him. And they're both smiling. So at the very least, it is a codependent relationship. So, usually I read a comic. And I do have a direction I'm going with this. And it's primarily about choosing the art style to match the content. And here, this was a subversive greeting card made by someone who wanted to represent this crime that happened in Germany. I assume. I'm assuming that. I'm making the assumption. But there's certain things you choose to believe, and I choose to believe that that's what the artist behind this was thinking. So I'll read from Wikipedia the introduction of the summary of the life of Armin Meiwes. Okay, so he was a German former computer repair technician, so he was involved in computers. This is all tracking. Who received international attention for murdering and cannibalizing Bernd Brandes, whom he had found via the internet as a voluntary victim in March 2001. So, a different time, a different place. You see, that's what you have to understand. It was a different time. After Meiwes and the victim jointly attempted to eat the victim's severed penis, Meiwes murdered his victim and proceeded to eat a large amount of his flesh. He was arrested in December 2002. In January 2004, Meiwes was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 8 years, blah, blah, blah. In a retrial in 2006, he was convicted of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment in Germany. Meiwes is also known as the Rottenburg Cannibal, or der Metzgermeister, the Master Butcher, from the signature he used in his email. So he called himself the Master Butcher. So in this illustration, I believe this is the Master Butcher over here, and this is the piece of meat. Okay, which would have been this guy. So everyone's into different things. Like I like comic books. These two people were into cannibalism, so I'm not judging that. The house where the murder took place was destroyed in a suspected arson attack that occurred in the early morning of 2023. Again, an example of cancel culture gone awry. They took out his house where it happened. I guess, people have just gone crazy. But let's see what else it says here. I guess there's a pretty substantial community of cannibal fetishism. Okay, that's what they say. So Meiwes initially planned to live together and get to know Bernard Brandes, but Brandes really, really wanted to be slaughtered and just get it done. So, and to be eaten by someone else. So there was definitely a sexual element, which you can see in this illustration is from the smiles. They're into it. Okay, so that's basically what I'm talking about. And to sidestep this into the overall point is using a designed style to represent. It's about picking a style to represent the story you're telling. And in this one, this is a style designed to represent cannibalism. And in this one, in Dogman, this style is designed specifically for it to be read by children and for them to have a blast and, fun reading it. So a lot of people criticize his art, but it is simple for a reason, and it is simple, for a narrative reason, and mainly for, I believe, targeting his audience, because his audience is obviously children. So by making it look like they're kid drawings, it makes that appealing to the target audience that he wants to purchase this book. So I'm not going to read from this today, but I will read from this in the next video unless something else comes up. But I thought that would be an interesting way to talk about this concept of using the style not just to try, not just for having a beautiful style or, complex artwork, but thinking of it as what type of art style you want to use to represent your story. So I think that's an interesting thing to think about and to examine. And I think Dogman is a really good graphic novel, kids novel, comic book, whatever you want to call it, that is a good example of that thought process.